Good evening, everyone. Friends, welcome. Thank you so much for coming to this hustings promoted by churches together in Putney and Roehampton, and double thanks for coming to Roehampton. The Church of the Holy Trinity, Roehampton, and I'm the vicar. My name is Joshua, and I'm really thrilled to welcome everyone to this part of the constituency. It has its own distinctive issues, its own distinctive joys and beauties. Those of you who are residents here today, those of you who have yet to experience it, just put trail.holytrinityroehampton.org into your phone. You will get a guided walk around 12 great places in Roehampton. But this is a place that needs to become fully itself, and the democratic process is part of that. Pub quiz question. Name, in alphabetical order, all those countries whose government has not changed by violence in the last 250 years. Britain. That's it. The reason for that is what we're doing tonight. There is something magical, something wonderful and precious that we change or don't change, who knows, who governs us, without hurting anyone. It's a very unsatisfactory process, but it's a lot better than all the others. So thank you for holding, and thank you, candidates, for being willing to play your parts in this. We value and we pray for you. So I'm going to step aside now. Just need to tell you that if you feel the earth through the double doors, all the way down on your right, in 1898 this church building was the envy of South London, because it had a water closet. Nothing much has changed, so but it does the business. And if you need little access, it's out that way. In the unlikely event of a need to leave the building rapidly, unless you're instructed otherwise, I suggest at the back you go through that door, and at the front you go through that door. And thank you very much for the members of the Metropolitan Police who are with us this evening. Very good to have you too. So, I will now hand you over to your chair for the evening, to Andy Smith, Chief Executive of Regenerate, with a significant pleasure. Grateful in the chairs.
Good evening, everybody. I've never done this before, so it's quite exciting. Obviously, there are TV cameras around watching this performance tonight. No, they're not really. That is a message to say we'd ask people not to film, if you don't mind, because some people have asked that they prefer their questions not to be filmed, so no filming, please. But it's really great that everyone's here tonight, and what this is all about is about hearing from the people that are putting themselves forward to be voted in to be our Member of Parliament for Roehampton, Putney, Southfields. And so it's a great opportunity. We've got 6 candidates here, and they're all going to get a chance to give a few minutes about why we should kind of vote for them or their party, however they want to do it. And then we are going to have a series of questions. So people have written in some questions, so we've got some of those to go through about different themes. And then hopefully there'll be some time after that, if any of you have got some burning questions, to have a few more questions from the floor. So shall I say who we've got here, or do you want to say that? You can say that when you introduce yourselves. So people are going to answer questions. So when there's one question, everyone gets a minute to answer. So we're not going to go on for longer than a minute. And there's a random order. I have an order here of who should answer what. So it's all like I've got people thinking of. So hopefully it will. Yes, so we're going to start off with Kieran McCarthy from the Lib Dems. You want to introduce yourself? You've got 3 minutes to tell us a bit about yourself and why we should vote for you.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. And thank you all for coming here tonight. You're here because you you care about Roehampton and Putney, and I'm here for the same reason. So, my name is Kieran, and I want to be your next Member of Parliament. You're probably wondering who in the right mind would want to be a politician, and you'd have a point. Especially in this election, this is an unusual election in that we already know who's going to win. If the polls are right, then the Labour Party is going to win with the largest majority in living memory. If the polls are wrong by 100 seats, they're still going to win with a larger majority than Boris Johnson won in 2019. So, in a couple of weeks' time, we're going to have a Labour government, and I'm sure Fleur is going to tell us all the things they're going to do on a national level when we do have a Labour government. The reason I'm here is to tell you what I'm doing and have been doing in the local area in Roehampton to make Roehampton and Putney a better place. And the thing is, it matters to me what happens here, and I'll tell you why, because my daughter goes to school about 5 minutes that way. I live about 10 minutes away on the 265 bus when it turns up, and I walk the area pretty much every day. And I'm pretty angry about a few things, to be honest with you, in Roehampton and in Putney. One of them is what they've allowed to happen to the Autumn Estate. First the Conservatives and now Labour over the last decade. I'm pretty unhappy about these proposed developments on the Lennox Estate in Tolland Square in these gardens, in Hayward Gardens, in which the council wants to build on the only green space they have available. I don't like the state of our high streets. In 2008, there was 3 empty shops on Putney High Street. Today, there's over 20. And I don't like our air pollution and the traffic we have, most of which is thanks to the fact that Hammersmith Bridge has been closed now for 5 years. 5 years. So this is what I've been doing about it. I've been talking with local residents. I see a couple of them in here tonight, trying to get the council to actually listen to them and their very reasonable concerns about the development on their land. So 20 seconds? Good Lord. And I've started a charity to save the high street, open up those local shops. I have started a local news site called Putney News to inform you so we can keep our public officials accountable. Here's the thing, Putney has a long tradition of choosing people over party. They've chosen people that are most aligned with their views and people they think will get the most done. In this election, we already know who's going to win. You don't need to vote party, you should vote for the person on this stage that you think will do the best work for Roehampton and for Putney. Thank you.
Since the last election, we have had the most catastrophic changes to the world in my memory, and I'm 60 years of age. For those of you who are older, perhaps, unless you compare the Second World War, we've had the most catastrophic upheaval in our lives that you can imagine. First came the lockdowns. I initially supported the lockdowns, thinking that would protect lives. But as it turned out, I watched carefully and read carefully about what was going on, followed the detailed evidence all around the world, and drew the conclusion by the summer that what was going on was a fraud. A fraud carried out by big business, by big pharma, by big tech, linked in with people like Dominic Cummings, who said at the committee on investigating the coronavirus actions, that a Bill Gates type network, that was his quotation, guided what happened under lockdowns. All of our lives, our children, our parents, people dying on their own, in hospital, as a result of insane policies pushed by big tech and big pharma on the entire planet, not only on us here locally. Then, as the lockdowns came to an end, and they came to an end after mandates were imposed, or they attempted to impose mandates on all NHS staff, and NHS staff marched against this. Hundreds of thousands marched against this, and that overturned the lockdown lockdowns in Britain. In many countries they wanted to introduce mandates for the entire population. They restricted our movement, restricted our freedoms, restricted our rights. After this ended, and huge sums have been given to Big Pharma and Big Tech, the biggest transfer of wealth in world history took place in the last 5 years. After this happened, they then moved on to Ukraine. Now I sympathise with the cause of the people of Ukraine, but at the same time, we are again being tricked and lied to. Big business, particularly the arms industry, the technology industry, in conjunction with the deep state, are carrying out operations to promote sending Nazi forces inside Ukraine and to push the borders of NATO up against Russia. What did they expect the Russians to do? And then all of us, all across the country, all across Europe, had to pay for this through higher costs of electricity, gas, food, and all the basics of life. Everything has shot up in price, largely as a consequence of this. And then finally, we have the biggest barbarity of all. A live genocide broadcast to us on television, supported by the government, supported by Keir Starmer, supported by the establishment. And we have to turn around and say, at this election, we will not stand for genocide, we will stand up against this tyranny, and we will end the war and end this type of tyranny and dictatorship that rules over the world today.
For the rejoin EU party, we've got Felix Burford Connolly, but he's not here today, but his agent is here, Richard Hewitt. So Richard, do you want to...
Thank you, Andy. And first of all, my candidate would like to apologise for not being able to be here tonight. I hope people will understand that this general election wasn't what we expected when we expected it. And so a lot of people getting ready for later on in the year have made lots of work arrangements they can't get out of. So Felix sends his apologies, but I'm here to speak on his behalf. And what he has to say is actually fairly simple. Brexit is destroying our society. It's destroying our economy, it's destroying our culture, it's destroying our ability to even take holidays in the summer. Now, I never thought that I would be channeling Michael Heseltine, but Michael Heseltine has said quite clearly that this is one of the most fraudulent general elections we've ever had, because nobody is talking about the biggest issue facing our society. And that's why Felix is standing here tonight. So why are we talking about Brexit? Because Brexit is behind everything. It's the engine that's fueling the cost of living crisis. It's the reason you can't go to the beach without coming into contact with excrement these days. And it's also the single biggest threat to our national security. Because make no mistake, our climate is changing. Our global climate is changing. And we can't just sit here in our little island thinking we can build walls around ourselves and make ourselves safe. Food security is going to become a big, big deal over the next few years, and that is why we must re-engage in the single market. Even if you disagree with me about wanting to rejoin the EU, we need to get back our trade links, we need to secure our economic prosperity, and we need to give our kids the same benefits that we had when we were able to travel around Europe freely, enjoying that. So I'm not going to take up 3 minutes of your time, because our message is very simple. I'm not going to say, like Kieran does, that we know the result of the election, even though I think we know where the polls are going. I do believe that there is probably going to be a Labour government, but I think we have to respect the fact that not a single one of us have passed a note at the moment. What I would like you to do is to tell the incoming government, whatever it is, that they need to take action over Europe. So a vote to rejoin the EU in this election is a vote to get that message out, strong and clear. Thank you for listening.
And now we have Fleur Anderson of the Labour Party.
Thank you very much, Andy. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you to Reverend Joshua for welcoming us and hosting this event. It's fantastic that you're also interested in how we're going to be voting, how you're going to be voting, and the direction of our country. It's been an honour, absolute honour, to serve the community of Roehampton as the MP for the last 4.5 years, and Putney, Southfields and Wandsworth Town, and as Shadow Paymaster General and as Shadow Northern Ireland Minister as well, on the front line of Brexit. But there's a clear choice in the election today between change and more Tory chaos, or between Labour who will get our country back on track. A little bit about me. I'm a local mum. I have 4 children and now a granddaughter, and I've lived in Wandsworth for 30 years. I was a Wandsworth councillor for 7 years, and I ran a community centre in Battersea, the Catherine Lowe settlement, before I became an MP, running older people's projects and youth projects. And before that, I campaigned internationally to tackle poverty and for climate change with Christian Aid and CAFOD and Water Aid. But I got into local politics to save one of our local children's centres. I don't know if you remember the 1 o'clock clubs. I used to take my children to 1 o'clock clubs. The council came to cut them, and that's why I got involved locally in politics. And then became a councillor and now an MP, here to serve the community. And one reason I stood as an MP, because I felt that Rockhampton was not being well served by our politicians, by the Conservative Council and by the Conservative MP. And so I've made it my mission to speak about and stand up for Rockhampton constantly. I've spoken about Rockhampton and Rockhampton issues 75 times in Parliament. I've held 2 jobs fairs here in the Leisure Centre, borrowing from this church for the coffee making. I've held lots of community advice days, and I'm out every weekend talking to people. Locally, I saved the urgent treatment centre at Queen Mary's Hospital when it was closed during COVID and wasn't going to be reopened. I saved the 14 and 74 bus routes from being cut when the government cut TfL funding. I've led an agreement between the council and the police locally that there will be a police hub coming to the parish hall just over the road, which means there will be more police spending more time here in Rockhampton, where they should be, to cut crime and antisocial behaviour. I've pushed the council to bring in the new plans for the changes on the Alton faster. I know that they've been really, really slow, and I've been frustrated as well, so I've been pushing the council to bring those in faster, and for them to include more council housing, more community spaces, and more youth provision. And when I heard about issues of mould in so many people's housing, I brought in my own private members' bill into Parliament on action to tackle mould, and I've campaigned to reopen Hammersmith Bridge. We will get on to some big issues now. The issues about the money in your pocket and growing the economy, the NHS bringing down waiting lists, and really tackling climate action and workers' rights. So I'm sure we'll cover all of those in the questions ahead. I hope you've seen my dedication and commitment to Rockhampton, and I look forward to your questions.
Now we've got Lee Roberts from the Conservative Party.
Thanks very much, Andy. Well, first of all, I have to make a quick statement about comments made in the press over the weekend apparently about Sadiq Khan. Just to apologise for the offence that was given for those comments. I don't disagree with the sentiment of what I said. In fact, my concern is that Sadiq Khan isn't falling there, although my terminology is probably rather clumsy and crass. I do stand by the fact that he's the worst mayor London's ever had. And most of the problems that we have with you, Fleur, is independent, and of course the problems that you've been going against. I mean, closing down buses, cutting back buses, holding us to ransom, the 85 bus route being cut by a third. Who's the person doing that? It's not the government, it's the Mayor of London that you were campaigning for just 5 weeks ago. It's rather strange to think, on one hand you defend him, you campaign for, then you go against him, you campaign against his cuts. To me that seems utterly bizarre. So, look, that's my first step. Quickly about me. I want to serve you. I don't care about your partners in power, I want to serve you, and I promise I'll serve you. All the way through the public party. Now, a bit about me. I'm 55 years old, I'll be 56 in a couple of weeks' time. I spent all my life in business. I was born in the West Midlands, Spencer educated, primary school, grammar school, Old Grammar School, got to Oxford on that basis, no one helped me along. I was there and got involved in Politics University, then got out in the London Union, the Conservative Association. I then got involved in just business and dropped all politics. So I spent 35 years doing things I'm quite proud of. I got involved in commercial radio. I helped change commercial radio. I launched with Bishop Branson, Virgin Radio in the 90s, which became the most successful national radio station. And then shortly after that, after 12 years, I joined an American team to turn what was then a label by Telephone, the Rolling Stone, into the world's most successful music venue, which it remains to this day. So I know a bit about transforming communities. I can apply myself to you, my experience for you, and can help change Putney for the better. I can make Putney richer, I can help to restore High Street, and also somebody can stand up to the mayor, which our current MP cannot do. So that's my background. I'm very, very keen to help. Outside of work, I've got a wife and 2 boys. We've been living in Clapham for the last 30 years, and we are now, as a house in the marketplace, unlike the MP who promised to move 5.5 years ago, who's still living in his heated neck, I'm moving here. Now please explain that later. I'll stand by my word. I'll do that for you. I will go all the way to support you, as I have done for the people on the Ashburn estate and Whitwell Way, and the Lennox estate, and Tobin Square, because someone needs to fight for you. We have a Labour government here, this MP will not stand up to. A Labour man that's cutting back services, she won't stand back to. I will do it for you above party, that's my promise.
So, who's happy with the state of the political system we have today? Show of hands. We got one at the back. Okay, this is democracy in action. What we've got a multitude of different problems going on. We've got a housing crisis, NHS crisis, we've got a transport crisis, cost of living crisis, we've got Brexit crisis, we have a food crisis, and on top of all of this, we've got ecological and climate emergency crisis. And just for, on top of all that, we've got this war that's going on in Gaza that's supported by both Labour and the Conservatives. Right? We're in an awful state, we need change, we've got a broken political system.
Chair asked people not to.
And the reason I'm standing is that 20 years ago, I listened to this guy on stage